Hey, y'all. Welcome back to the Call to Coaching podcast. This podcast is brought to you by MW Outdoor Power and Engine Repair. Hey, if you're looking for a new mower this season, any new yard tools this season, if you're looking for smokers, grills, griddles, MW Outdoor Power and Engine Repair is where you need to head to. It's 212 West Broadway. It's like right across from the park here in Sulphur. Listen, they've got you covered. Guys, if you want to get your wife, something to work in the yard with, like a weed eater, leaf blower, saw, good luck with that. But if you want to, they got you covered. You want a good American-made bad boy mower? Yeah, got them. Tractors, yep. Implements to go with them, yes. And my favorite part, full line of Traeger grills, the new Traeger griddle, accessories like grill accessories, smoker accessories. They got the pellets, they got grill covers, shelves. I mean, you name it, they've got it. Go in there, give them a look around. Tell them I sent you. Look for Luke and Russell and Edie, and just tell them I said hi. Thank y'all so much for the support. And then right behind them over on Muskogee is Bromide Mountain. Look, they got everything. I've been buying all my gear. Burley Bow, Honey Hole, Patagonia. They got it. If you're looking to do some Christmas shopping, if you go, hey, I don't know if I want to make it through the Christmas season, maybe I won't buy my wife a weed eater. Maybe I'll buy her some nice clothes. And then my wife could go buy me a weed eater, something like that. You need to head to Bromide Mountain, right? They've got it all. Men, kids, women, like they've got all the things. They've got decorations. Jade has a bar of soap in there that is like the size of an 80s boombox. She said, Brad, you need this soap. I said, Jade, that soap and myself will not fit in my shower. Now, I could put the soap in there, or I could put me in there, but not together. Hey, a couple of days later, it's usable soap. She's got little bars of soap in there now. We're good to go. You got to check them out. They've got candles, all kinds of good smells. You go in there, tell the girls, hey, I've got this much money, and I need to finish my Christmas shopping, and they will take care of you. So go check out Bromide Mountain and get all your Christmas shopping done. All right. This episode right here you're about to watch is just such a cool guy. The first time I met Coach Patterson, I knew that we were going to be friends, and I knew that he was just really cool without even trying to be cool. I mean, the conversation with Coach Patterson just flows so easily. We talk about family. We talk about coaching your kids. We talk about coaching kids that were so talented they were, go play in a couple different leagues. So Coach Patterson has got so much awesome experience. I mean, listen, like he's a Marlowe guy, but I think Marlowe will claim him, Comanche will claim him, Kingfisher will claim him, Chandler will claim him. We got some kinfolk in Chandler that will claim him. Stroud will claim him. Like, everybody wants to be where Coach Patterson's from because he is just such a cool dude. So I'm so glad you're here. Thank you so much for supporting our podcast and watching and hanging out. And I know you will enjoy this interview with Coach Patterson. So here we go. On to it, Coach Craig Patterson. So I do that, and I clap 3 times, and now I can sync them up. I'm pretty fancy, Coach. This is a high dollar operation here.
It's already more high dollar than I ever thought it was going to be, just to be quite honest with you. I thought we were just going to use a phone and record something. I didn't know we were going to have all this.
Yeah, look, I got this thing. I'm not sure what it does. I have done a podcast without turning it on, so that was a good one. We got to redo for Mr. and Mrs. Dixon and Reggie. I got home and I was like, well, I can't hear her audio at all, and I was like, oh, it's because it wasn't even on. So, yeah, it's a work in progress all the time. So, thank you for being on. Called to Coaching. We were just talking about kind of what this is. And today we've got Coach Craig Patterson, Oklahoma Coaches Hall of Fame inductee just a few months ago.
That's
Coach
right.
Patterson.
Yes.
So we were just looking around this awesome room we're in. Your dad was a coach and is in the Oklahoma Coaches Hall of Fame.
Yes.
Your father-in-law, a coach. also in Oklahoma Coaches Hall of Fame. So let's start there with your folks and growing up as a coach's kid.
You know, I had the best life growing up, man. You know, being a coach's kid sometimes has its drawbacks.
Yeah.
You know, but growing up a coach's kid, there was never a time in my life growing up that when I got to be to where I chose my occupation for my life,
Yeah.
that I was going to be a coach.
Yeah.
That's just what when you grow up around coaches,
Mm-hmm.
when you grow up riding on a yellow bus to a Friday night football game,
Yeah.
or to a Tuesday night, Friday night basketball game, or you're going to a track meet on a Saturday or whatever it is. You know, because my dad coached back in the 60s and 70s, and back then, you know, he coached everything.
They did everything.
They did it all.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I was just around coaches. I looked up to coaches. You know, my vacation in the summertime was Oklahoma Coaches Clinic. Yeah. I mean, seriously, we didn't go to, I mean, I can remember going to Disneyland one time. I can remember going to Galveston one time. Other than that, I don't ever remember a vacation in the summertime like normal kids might.
Oh, yeah.
Might have went to. I mean, that was the highlight of our summer, going to the coaches' camp. We were mad all the time when they had it at Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
Because it didn't seem like it was far enough away.
We wanted to get up to Tulsa.
We wanted to go to Tulsa. Absolutely. And so I have some of the greatest memories of growing up and being around coaches and looking up to high school athletes. I mean, you know, those guys were our heroes growing up. You know, we just we loved watching them. We loved hanging around them. And my life's occupation was so simple because, like I said, that there was nothing. There was no question what I was going to do. I never dreamed about being a lawyer or a fireman or anything, doctor, nothing.
It was just going to be a coach.
I want to coach. Yeah. That's what I wanted to do. And
so where did you? I know you moved to Marlow in the mid '70s.
I did.
Were you in high school then?
Yes. I moved to Marlow in the summer of 1975, going into my sophomore year.
Yeah. So what was before that?
Well, I went second grade in Rush Springs. Then my dad took a coaching job in Comanche.
Okay.
3rd through the 9th grade. And when he and Mom told us that we were going to move to Marlow, I thought life can't get any worse because I'm telling you, I'm not sure that the rivalry is quite as bad as it used to be, but I'm telling you, in the 60s and 70s, it was borderline hatred. It's like Davis sulfur.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, literally it. And I just could not believe. I can still to this day remember the last time we left Comanche and moved up here brought the last load and we're here for good. Dude, I sit out on the curb of my front of my house and just cried. Oh. And it was just, boy, howdy, it was just tough, man. But God has a reason for everything in life, and it turned out to be the greatest blessing that I've ever had.
Yeah.
Moving to Marlow, Oklahoma.
Absolutely.
So I did graduate from Marlow. Went 10th through the 12th grade. Graduated in 1978. I went to college at USAO there in Chickasha.
Yeah.
Turned a 4-year degree into a 5.5-year degree.
Nothing wrong with that.
I always tell people, I just blame that on my age because I went to college when I was 17 years old.
Oh, yeah.
I was in college for 2 months before I turned 18.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I was about as prepared for college as it was bad. It was not good.
Nobody does that anymore because kids go to college now at like 19 or
Absolutely.
20 almost.
I mean, I'm still riding with my dad to school or my bicycle to school as a junior in high school. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, so anyway, and then I did my student teaching under my old high school coach at Stillwater High School and coached there for 1 year, and then off I went, man. I was an assistant coach at Choctaw High School for 3 years.
Yeah.
Got my first head coaching job in 1986 at Chandler.
The Chandler Lions.
Chandler Lions. I was a head coach there for 10 years. Had 10 great years there. My wife had just gotten her counselor's degree.
Yeah. Let's go back. Let's not skip that part.
Let's do it.
So we're in town. What were we doing when you were back here? You was already graduating high school. Mm-hmm. Your sister brought your wife to a party?
My sister, yes. Back in 1984, we lived just catty-cornered from where I was crying my eyes out because we moved to Marlowe.
Yeah.
Just catty-cornered was a couple, Gene and Della Cobb, and they had a coaches meeting.
Yeah.
Or a coaches get-together, cookout on the 4th of July in 1984. And my sister, who was still in junior high,
yeah,
she did some swimming lessons, and she helped teach lifeguard, and Carrie was the lifeguard.
Oh, man.
And so Tracy brought Carrie over here to this get-together, and it's the first time I'd ever met her. And,
what a wingman, your sister.
Absolutely.
Little sister.
Yeah,
Come
Trace. On. Yeah, Trace did me a solid favor right there. Yeah, she did good. And Carrie's been just, Carrie's dad's a Hall of Fame coach as well, and she loves sports. And, she loved to go to games. And, of course, we didn't start dating until a little bit later that year. But we only dated for about 6 months before we, that July the 4th.
Yeah.
Well, that next July the 20th was when we got married, so it didn't take long.
That is awesome.
Hey, and it's been a blessing for 38 years now.
Yeah.
So
well, I could tell when she was out here talking with us earlier when we were talking about if y'all could see this room, you see this wall. Well, this just carries on around the whole room, and she was just has invested in all these.
Oh yeah.
Pictures and stories. I mean,
absolutely.
You can tell she's into it.
That's what a lot of people see this kind of stuff and they say, it's stuff, and that's really what it is. It is. But for her and I both, it's great memories that that I can come back here and I'll get back here, read my Bible in solitude, and I just have you just have a great peaceful feeling of all the things here around you. Like right there behind Brad's head, that's my uncle's. He played for 2 years at the University of Oklahoma, and that's his game jersey from the Sugar Bowl.
Oh, that's awesome.
And if you look, I got a ticket up there and the ticket for that Sugar Bowl game in 1972 was $7.50.
Man, come on. Yeah. I could afford to go to a game back then.
So, that's just what, it's not just me. It's my brother, my uncle, my aunts and cousins. And it's just,
and your kiddos.
My kiddos. Yep. It's just, it's just a cool room.
This is awesome. Okay. So I didn't mean to. I will chase some rabbits on here, Coach.
It's okay. That's okay. That's good.
So we're back to the Chandler lines.
Yes.
10 years at Chandler.
10 years.
Carrie just got her.
Carrie had just gotten her counseling certificate, and there was not any really counseling jobs around there.
Yeah.
And so my high school coach, who I went and did my student teaching with, Jerry Havens, he had since now moved to Texas, Louisville, Texas.
Yeah.
And was looking for an assistant. And his wife was a high school or a junior high principal in one of the Louisville schools and needed a counselor.
Perfect.
So, I had been at Chandler for 10 years, and you kind of get to a point where you think, okay, do I want to get into a bigger school? Do I want to see, kind of what it's like? And, of course, it gave us an opportunity to do that, and then gave Carrie an opportunity to be a junior high counselor. And so we moved to Louisville, Texas for 2 years.
Yeah.
And
what's the difference in Texas? How big is that difference? Texas to Oklahoma.
I was as lost as a queen bee in a swarm.
Yeah.
I mean, it was. I went from a school. Well, Chandler at the time it varied kind of between a 3A and a 4A school, but it was small 4A school. To Louisville High School, which had a enrollment of over 3,000.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, there was more people in the high school than there were in the whole town of Chandler. Just about, really.
Yeah.
I mean, the population of Chandler was probably 3,500, 4,000. Well,
and Chandler feels like a tight community.
Yeah, absolutely.
Too,
yes. Yeah. And so I enjoyed it. I loved our time there, but I found out real soon that walking down the hallway and not knowing anybody,
Yeah.
and that's after you'd been there a year or 2 years. I saw teachers at our end of the school luncheon, 2 years. I'd been there 2 years.
Yeah.
They had no idea who they were.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, that's how big this place. I mean, it
Yeah.
was just huge. And anyway, my wife's father was getting into poor health.
Yeah.
And so we just kind of decided that we'd kind of start looking for jobs back in Oklahoma. And fortunately, we were able to move back.
Yeah. So where'd you end up when you come back to God's country?
We came back to God's country, and I was fortunate enough to get a job at Tuttle High School.
Yeah.
Carrie, well, we really couldn't find Carrie a job. They didn't have a job for her at Tuttle, and so we just had to say, okay, are we going to move back and then just take a chance that you're going to find a job? Because, like I said, I wanted Carrie to be back here closer to her father because we knew his time was going to be short. So we went ahead, took the job there at Tuttle.
Yeah.
And she found a counselor's job at Noble.
Oh, perfect.
Which helped, a whole lot. But it was a difficult drive. It's, anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour every day. And I had a daughter that was in the second grade, and I had a son in pre-first, and she was getting up and leaving before them two were out of bed, and she was getting home, before them two were, they were ready to go. They were ready to go to bed, and she's getting home. And so anyway, but it was a great time for us at Tuttle.
Yeah.
Obviously I was fortunate enough to coach Jason White, Heisman Trophy winner, and
absolutely.
so
who was also a pretty salty basketball player.
He was a really good basketball player. Yes, he was.
I remember that. Yeah,
I
remember him being pretty good basketball player.
He was a
then.
good player. He really was. And we had a great year that year. We got beat in the second round or the first round of the area tournament. And, I think we won 21 games, and I think he averaged right about 20 points a game. And he was a really, really solid player.
It seems like those Heisman Trophy winners seem to be just pretty good athletes.
Well, people don't. I'm just telling you, the dude dunked it for the very first time in the 8th grade.
Oh, my gosh.
People don't understand what kind of athlete he was.
Yeah.
When you had those two knee injuries, and it just really took away a lot of his athleticism.
Yeah, and a lot of the memory that people have is the second one when the no contact one, and they're like, well, he's just running out there. Well,
really, both of them were. When his first one, he was throwing a pass and just landed wrong.
Oh, man.
And then the very next year, he's running the option and plants and goes down. But he was he was a heck of an athlete. He really was. That was a good time.
So speaking of your father-in-law, y'all told me a grass showed up on my Yankee stuff on today. Did not know that I was going to score major points.
Absolutely.
With the boss of the house today.
Absolutely.
But she was telling a pretty awesome story about your father-in-law and the Yankees.
Oh, yeah. My father-in-law, he loved, of course, big, huge Mickey Mantle fan being from Oklahoma back in that time. And when we moved to Texas, he said, you got to get us some tickets to the game. To go. And so we were able to get him tickets to a Yankees game, and sitting up in the upper deck. He didn't care where we sat. He was going.
He just wanted to go.
88, 87, 88 years old, and in the Texas heat in the summertime. They got that nice dome down there now, which is just fantastic. They didn't have that back then, no.
And if you were in the outfield bleachers at the ballpark in Arlington, it was hot.
It was hot.
I felt like I was really close to the sun up there. Because that's where we usually were.
Yeah, absolutely. But we kind of enjoyed a little bit of that. Our kids were to the age, where the tickets at that point in time were really cheap to sit out there in those. And, we'd leave after school one day and, for an evening game. And we'd go to the Texas Ranger game. And, the kids really, really enjoyed all that. But, he was a big Yankees fan now.
That's
no doubt.
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad I was able to score some accidental points as I walked in.
She'd probably like to have that jersey from you.
She said, Yankees. And I was like, oh, no, here we go. She's like, all right. Got a little fist bump out of it. I was like, let's go.
Yeah.
So we coached Jason White Obviously, you coached him to 20 points a game.
Absolutely. No question.
And then past Tuttle.
Then we went to, I got a job in Stroud. Really funny story here. I had come home from school one day, and Carrie Lou had seen in the papers because, we'd kind of been looking, because I wanted Carrie to be closer than having to drive 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
And so she had kind of been looking in the paper. Well, she told me that there was a job opening for a basketball coach and counselor at Stroud. Now, Stroud and Chandler,
Yeah.
big rivals.
Yeah.
Big rivals. And I look at her and I'm thinking, you're not serious, are you? We're not moving to Stroud. No. Well, it wasn't a week later, the football coach, athletic director, calls me on the phone and says, hey, just come up and talk to me. It's all I want you to do.
Yeah.
Is come up and talk to me. Well, it just so happened it was the week following the May 3rd tornado.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. And, of course, the tornado from where we lived in Tulsa and Tuttle was about 4 or 5 miles to the south of us. But Carrie Lou had to drive through all of this devastation.
Oh, my goodness.
Getting to Noble.
It was
because
unlike any
she
other.
kind of went through Bridge Creek and all that back there where all
Yeah.
that tornado hit. And so anyway, we went up there and visited with Lloyd Workman was his name. Great dude, just a really good football coach. And of course, the mall up there was just completely destroyed because it hit Stroud.
Yeah.
The tornado hit Stroud as well. And sure enough, we visited with him, and the more we talked, and I'm thinking, what am I doing here? I'm not going to take this job, and just, the more we talked and, prayed about it, I'm thinking, golly. And so anyway, we end up going to Stroud. And
4 years removed.
Yeah,
from
yeah,
Chandler.
that's right. That's
Man.
right. Because I was in Texas for 2 years,
Yeah.
1 year in Tuttle.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
And you end up with the biggest rival.
Wow. Yeah, and I probably lost a few friends over that. But I still have a lot of good players and stuff. A lot of friends as players and stuff that that I stay in contact with there in Chandler. So
Well, hey, we lose friends because we change jobs, but you know what makes that easier? Book out,
that?
boys.
He made me a whole lot better coach. I mean, Jason White made me a really good coach. Kevin Bookout made me a really good coach as well. He sure did. He was a lot of fun to coach. 6'9". Golly, what 245?
Oh, yeah. He was all
and
there.
I mean, he was athletic too.
He could move.
He could move. He could, we did on them plyo boxes. I mean, he jumped up on them plyo boxes and all that stuff. I mean, he was an athletic dude now. Yeah,
I remember during his All-State game, he might have thrown it off the glass and caught it and dunked it. I mean, like during play.
Oh, yeah.
Not on a fast break, not before the game.
Yeah.
During play, he just tossed up there off the glass, catch it.
He was a really, really good player. I mean, and I've told this story before. Barry Switzer. I mean, he's told things about Kevin Bookout that if he would have been able to play in the NFL as a defensive end if he just wanted to. I mean, he could throw a baseball 90 mile an hour. He pitched and hit home runs in baseball, threw the discus and shot further than anybody's ever thrown it in the state of Oklahoma.
I mean, I can remember them clearing the back, like during the disc. Hey, back there, get out of the way. Like, he's going to throw it out there.
Yeah. At Cushing one time, their shot or discus area, they have buses that kind of park out there by them too.
Oh, no.
Yeah. He threw the disc 215 feet one day, took one hop and ricocheted it right off a school bus. 215 feet.
Oh, my God.
I mean, you got kids throwing it today 165, 70 feet, 75 feet. That's pretty good. You know?
Yeah, they're
Kevin Bookout, he's flying that with ease.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable. But and when we went to track meets, I mean, it wasn't like people were stopping and watching the 100-yard dash or whatever.
No. We were piled up around the shot and disc.
Everybody was piled up around the shot and disc area. It was crazy.
Yeah, I don't remember where we were at, but he was there and him throwing, and we were just like, Oh my! I mean, we're thinking he's going to go to the Olympics.
Yeah.
Like
You know, and he was close a couple of times. You know, he was in the Olympic trials on several occasions. Just never could quite,
Yeah.
Just never could quite get there.
Yeah. All right. So hard move to Stroud, but
we were at
we were at
Stroud for 2 years. And my poor kids, they've just been moved around and moved around. Bless their heart.
Now, how? So let's not get too far past them. When did they come along? When they started?
Casey was born in 1990, and Derek was born in 1992.
Okay.
And so we were living in Chandler at the time.
Okay.
And so they were really young when we moved, and we moved to Louisville in the 96-97 school year.
Yeah.
Well, we rented a house in Louisville the first year. Well, they sold the house after year one. So then we had to find us another house to live in, which put them both in a different school again.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. So Casey had started in Chandler, went to one school in Louisville. Then we had to move to another house. She had to go to another school. Then we moved to Tuttle, second grade. She was going to be in the second grade.
Yeah.
We moved to Tuttle. We were there for 1 year. Then we moved to Stroud. We moved to Stroud for 2, her third and fourth grade year.
Is Derek, he's starting
And
at
Derek
this
is
point?
starting school at this point, too. So both my kids, I mean, every year, it seemed like they're, and so we were in Stroud for 2 years. One of my really good friends, Max Thomas, who was the superintendent at Kingfisher at the time, shows up at my house on Easter weekend. And I'm thinking, okay, something's, he's just going to show up at my house. So
yeah. He's not there to hunt Easter eggs.
No, he's not. And so anyway, he visited with me about my interest in coming to Kingfisher as the boys basketball coach and the athletic director.
Oh man, yeah.
Which was a good move. And then of course my wife would have a counselor's job at the high school as well. And so so after 2 years in Stroud, we moved to Kingfisher.
Yeah.
And we're getting to the point now to where we're thinking, okay, we've got to find some place to stay.
Yeah.
My kids are getting to the age that I can't keep moving them every year.
Mm-hmm.
My kids have gone to 4 or 5 schools in 5 or 6 years, different school. I mean, and so it's.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was really a great move for us, though.
Yeah. Yeah. That's and then. I mean, Kingfisher was kind of really on the rise.
Yes.
I mean, y'all hit it just at a great time.
We really did. We really did. When we went there, I know in football, Kingfisher, it had always kind of been a basketball school, but more importantly, a girls' basketball school.
Yeah.
They'd won state 4 or 5 times, I believe.
Yeah.
In girls' basketball. Their football team, for the very first time in school history in 1998, they made the state semifinals in football.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, they had had some good years in football and had some good coaches and good players, but it just, they just didn't have a lot of sustained success. And so we got there at the time, and it's not anything that I did as an athletic director or anything that we had really good players start coming. You had guys
Derek
like
Patterson showed up on campus.
My son Derek was a really good player. You had guys like Curtis Lofton. You had guys. I mean, you had a lot of really good players coming, through during that particular time. That not only were we really good in football, we were really good in boys basketball. And my son, when he was a sophomore in high school, we made state in baseball. And so, I mean, we had some sustained success in more than one sport, but a lot of that obviously was just due to the fact that we had some really good quality kids coming through there at that particular time.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
Well, so I don't know if anybody can see this picture. I'm with this so they can see Curtis back there. What do you think? This is just kind of a random question because I see this so much now. Kids only want to specialize and only want to play. Well, this is what I'm going to do forever, or this. I'm a baseball guy. I'm not going to do anything else.
Right.
And that's fine. I'm not knocking that.
Right.
But this kid back here was a dang good football player, and suited up and played basketball because he loved to play basketball.
Absolutely.
I think Curtis wanted to be a basketball player.
He loved basketball. Curtis was a competitor.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the thing is you have a lot of kids who really want to. They just don't. Being a part of other programs sometimes is not necessarily as important as what it used to be.
Yeah.
When we all went to school, everybody wanted to play everything. I mean,
anything.
I wasn't ever going to go to college and amount to anything. And, and as far as sports was concerned, I was a good player, but I wasn't good enough to go. And so I wanted to play, as many sports as I could. Just
whatever they rolled out there, I was ready to go.
That's right. And that's the way Curtis was. Curtis, could have very easily said, Coach, I'm going to concentrate on football. My future is in football, and that's, I'm getting recruited in football, and that's what I want to do. But he was a great competitor. He loved competing, and he was a good basketball player.
Yeah.
I tell everybody, he was as good of on-the-ball defender as I ever coached in 30 years of coaching basketball. Absolutely. Absolutely.
That hurts me to know because now he's a pretty good golfer. He's good at everything.
When he wanted to guard you, I'm telling you, you were in for it. Yeah. Yeah.
How soon, knowing Curtis, like you know him, like how soon did you know Curtis is going to this is going to be a career? Because, we've all seen really good athletes in high school, but then there's kids like Curtis and Tress and those kind of guys that just, this is,
right.
How soon did you see that in him?
Well, we knew in football, when he wanted to dominate in football in high school, he dominated. So you knew that you knew that his skills were there. Mm-hmm. He was athletic. He was strong. He could run. So all of the intangibles were there. And so you're thinking, okay, if this guy goes to college and he's able to, continue to improve, take college coaching, deal with all of the extra stuff that goes with a college athlete, he's got a chance.
Yeah.
And I think when he kind of first started playing at OU, you begin to see glimpses of thinking, okay, this guy here, he's going to be able to do it.
Yeah,
So
just watching him in high school and then in college, and he still looked as good. You see a lot of guys that look really good in high school, and then they get to college and they just kind of level with everybody there. But Curtis didn't really do that.
No,
he continued to kind of be the one that stood out.
Absolutely.
At a major D1 school.
Yeah, he just you have a lot of players that have it.
Yeah.
I don't know what all that is, but he had it.
Yeah.
And he was just able to take coach. He tells everybody that Brent Venables is, really one of the guys, kind of that began to recruit him. And, of course, when you're getting recruited, Brent's the nicest guy in the world. And he's going to sugarcoat everything. Yeah. And Curtis will tell you, when he got to the University of Oklahoma, I didn't like Brent Venables.
He's like, who is this guy?
I didn't. I do not like that guy. But, and a lot of kids, when they're being pushed, like he was – you're probably not pushed as much in high school as you are, at the University of Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. The kind of competition you're seeing every day in practice obviously is different than what it's just different. And if you want to get to that level, you're going to have to approach things a little bit differently. And, you're going to have to take some things, and take some things to heart. And, some kids can handle that. Yeah. Some kids can't. Yeah. And even though there's times when he was thinking, okay, well, I don't know if I'm going to do this or not, he hung in there and
And he did pretty good.
And he did pretty good, man.
And now he plays golf, and he's pretty good at that.
And now he just lives the life of leisure.
Unfortunate.
There you go. He just lives the life of leisure now. He still can't beat me on the golf course, though.
Good, let's go. So. I've been trying to get him out there. Let's just go. I want to go.
Yeah.
Well, anytime, because I play golf with Tress Way, too. Mm-hmm. And so anytime you're out there with a professional athlete, it's like, I can't beat Tress at golf. Yeah. He's good.
Yeah, he's good.
But I'm giving it a shot every time I get a chance. But he's so fun.
Of course, my daughter, it's just amazing how small this world is and how God connects everything you know, to your life and family and stuff. When my two kids went to the University of Tulsa, Cole, who's now my son-in-law, Cole Way, Tressa's brother.
Yeah.
You know, they roomed together for a while, and then of course he ends up dating my daughter, and then of course they're married, and they have just a beautiful family now. Two little kids and one on the way, and Cole and Tress. I tell everybody there's not a sport that those guys play that they're not better than everybody.
Yeah.
I don't care with Tress Way. I don't care if it's pickleball, tennis, golf, softball. I mean, you name it. You even invent a sport. You go invent one. It don't matter. Those two guys are going to be better than anybody that's going to be out there. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I tell everybody those are two of the most athletic guys that hockey.
Get it.
Yeah, I'm telling you, they do it all.
And Tress is good at board games and trivia. Like, I'm like, come on, man.
Seriously, it's unbelievable.
Leave some for the rest of us.
I've never seen two guys that are as good at everything they do than those two.
Yeah.
And here's what's great about them. They're as fun. They are as fun to be around as anybody you've ever seen.
Yeah.
They really are.
Yeah. Tress is just, I mean, he's one of my great friends now. The guy is so genuine.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's no, it's hard to describe him if you don't know him, because he's just this, NFL football player or whatever. But like, he's the most genuine and caring person. He remembers your kids' names. He's just a good guy.
Right.
He's so much fun to be around. And one of these days, I'm gonna slide in there and beat him at golf. I'm almost positive of it, Coach.
I gave
him my best shot this summer. I think he beat me by 8.
I've beaten him a couple times, but I think he's probably beaten me more than I've beaten him. But he's always a lot of fun to play with. And what's great about Tress is if you didn't know he was an NFL punter or a player,
no way.
You'd never know.
You'd have no
he's
clue.
not ever going to be one that's going to use that to try to influence or anybody.
No.
And,
I'm always trying to get him to, Coach, like, just tell him where you work and we can play there.
Absolutely.
When he gets home, in 20 years when he retires, he's going to come home and we're going to play the best golf courses. Yeah. And I'm just going to call and pretend to be him, because that's something he would never do.
No doubt. No doubt.
So let's talk golf a little bit.
Yeah.
This is a selfish part of the podcast, because everybody knows I've got a daughter who's a golfer. And the very first time we met, I knew you had a little bit of golfing, female golf coaching success. And so I said, I've got a daughter that's really getting into this golf thing. What's the biggest tip? And you said, putt it. If you're like 20 yards from the green or what, I remember you gave me a yardage, you're like, putt it. Hey, Paisley has rolled some putts in from off the green that we're just like, what a tip. What'd you learn from being a girls' golf coach?
I just, you would think that girls would, as far as touch goes, would be really good.
Yeah.
That's the worst thing they do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I just learned. Now, I've had some really good girls golfers who, when they're 20 yards off the green, they're going to use a wedge or they're going to use a 9-iron, and they're going to be able to get some loft on the ball. And, you're going to have some girls that are able to take advantage of that, but you're going to have some girls, your 4 and 5 bags who, maybe shoot anywhere from 90 to 105. They're going to chili dip their first shot.
Yep.
They're going to scull their next shot over the green. Then they're going to finally get on the green and then either 3 or 4 putt.
Yeah.
And so I began to think, okay, we've got to be able to simplify the fact that if I'm 20 yards off the green, and I was just out there with the girls one day, and I just had my putter, and I said, okay, girls, y'all use any club you want to. I'm going to putt this ball, and I'm going to putt it on the green, and I'm going to 2-putt. I'm going to make 5, and I'm going to the next tee box.
Yeah.
And invariably, those girls would use their wedges or whatever they wanted to use, and what are they making? They're making 7, 8s, and 9s. I'm thinking, okay, so now let's just begin to practice a little bit. Now, you also have to take into consideration in the springtime.
Oh, that was what I was about to say.
In the springtime, you don't have a lot of thick grass around the greens. You don't. I mean, you're able to putt and do some of those things. you know.
Yeah, because in Oklahoma, the girls play golf in the spring.
In the springtime.
So everything's dead mostly.
Everything is dead, and so it is much easier.
Yeah.
But when the grass is dead, that makes it more difficult to hit a wedge shot.
Yes, it does.
Because,
yeah.
You know, and
You're
so
hitting off a tight line.
I just tried to convince a lot of those girls to say, look, you're coming in and you're shooting 100. If you would just use your putter from 10 to 15, 20 yards off the green, you'll shoot 90.
Yeah.
And so it only takes them about 1 or 2 times, you know, to walk off the green after putting it on the green and then actually two-putting and making bogey 5, you know, instead of making 7 or 8.
Absolutely.
And you're thinking, okay, maybe he does know a little bit about what he's talking about. You know, that's the best thing that can ever happen in coaching.
Yeah.
Is whenever you change somebody's shooting form or, you know, their throwing form or their golf swing, and then they have success at that, you're thinking, okay, Coach does know what he's talking about. Okay, I'll listen to you. That's the key. When you get to that point, you got them.
Yeah, absolutely. What was your favorite part about coaching girls golf? Was it that you got to play as well?
Oh, goodness gracious.
I'm going to go with just my experience. I'm going to go with your not your favorite part would be all the crying that goes on.
Absolutely. There is no crying. There's our motto. There is no crying on the golf course. I mean,
yeah.
That way, you know, you got to put your Dr. Phil hat on.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
And so golly, man. The van rides were always a lot of fun because, you know, they are fun. They don't get quite as mad as guys do. You know, guys will want to break a club or they want to throw one or they want to say cuss words. And I'm thinking, dude, that ain't going to do nothing but make your golf game worse, okay?
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to deal with a lot of that with girls and stuff. And, you know, but your camaraderie with girls is really cool. You know, they simply kind of like to bond, you know, naturally. That's their personality. And so that was always some of we have a lot of great memories. You know, we won state 3 years in a row, and then 1 year we finished 4th. Yeah. You know, just out of the trophy. And so it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. When we started talking about, this was pre-COVID, we had a meeting to do a golf camp, and of course COVID shut everything down. But we were talking that day, and I was like, I have got to take on a little bit of what Coach Patterson had right there, with just like, oh, you know, just put it. Yeah. Don't make it too difficult.
Don't make it difficult.
You know, just go have a good time.
You got a green up there that's 3,500 square feet. Yeah. You know, I mean, you ought to be able to putt it on the green. Yeah. Now you just got to get to the point to where I can putt it within 3 feet, and then, you know, I'm probably going to miss one of those every now and then. Yeah. But still, golf is a game where you have to add numbers. Yeah. And if I'm adding a bunch of 5s and 6s, it's a whole lot better than adding a bunch of 8s and 9s. Mm-hmm. And so once you kind of convinced them, you know, of that, it made it a little bit easier. Yeah. The worst thing that's happened to me over my golf coaching career is when I first started coaching golf at Chandler I actually first started my last year at Choctaw, but so back in the 80s, you know, you couldn't talk to your team.
Oh, wow.
So when I first started, we always took our golf clubs to the golf tournaments.
Yeah.
And after you sent them dudes off and they're out there playing, you can't go talk to them.
You just got to wait till they're done.
Yeah, you got to wait till they're done, or between 9s you could talk to them. And so all the coaches, we got together, we went and played golf. We'd play 18 holes. Yeah. We'd get there toward the end after they played 18. How'd we do? Hey, you know, tell me about your round. What? Yeah. Well, once they changed all of that to where now I got a coach during the
during the round.
Yeah, I got a coach during the round now. I mean, I got to give them yardage and clubs and how's this going to break and oh yeah.
No kidding. That's a bummer.
Yeah, it was a bummer. That was the worst thing that ever happened to the golf coaches.
That's the worst thing that happened to that gig.
That is, yeah.
That was a lot less.
Used to be a great gig.
Yeah.
Now it's just a good one.
Yeah. Some names were taken out of the hat. Yeah. We can't golf this year?
Yeah. No,
I'm not doing that.
I'm not doing that.
That's what I was laughing because they were talking about they had to vote, to see if we wanted to move the golf season to fall. Because last year was just brutal weather-wise.
Yeah.
I mean, Paisley played about a 7-hour round that was 45 degrees.
Yeah, it's horrible.
And so they were talking about moving it to the fall, and I said, it'll never happen. They said, well, why don't you think it could happen? Because all our girls golf coaches, the majority are football coaches.
A lot of
a lot of them are, because I see them all, as we go play, and I'm like, he coaches football, he coaches football. Okay, we're in the spring.
Yeah,
we're
spring. That's the one drawback in the golf. Because you're gonna play in some bad weather, man.
Yeah,
Whoa.
Yeah, it was
Cold.
sleeting and 7 hours. And she finished the hole out. It was about an hour and 15 minutes before we teed off on the next one. So she was just like, it was a bummer. Of course, me and her mama, we're in the golf cart with the cover on.
With the cover over
it.
And you got a space heater in there. Y'all aren't cold at all, are you?
We had to let the windows out every now and then. Condensation going on in there, hot chocolate and everything. But the poor kids are out there freezing to death.
I remember 2 different golf tournaments that we went to. We just cut it down to 9 holes because there's no way we can't play any longer.
Yeah.
I mean, you can only play in the sleet for so long, before it's just miserable.
Yeah. We played the, whatever we played to qualify for state, is that regionals?
Regionals.
So we played regionals at Kingfisher this year for the girls.
Yes.
And we shotgunned everybody on the front because it was raining so hard.
Right.
We didn't think we'd get to back in. Yeah. So shotgunned everybody on the front. And them girls were just out there walking in ankle deep water.
Yeah.
And some of them holes running off to those ponds and creeks. They're just trudging through. And I was like, it's just spring golf.
And that's the thing with Kingfisher's golf course is when it rains, it's flat, but it has valleys and stuff on there. But the valleys then, when water collects, it turns into ponds.
Yeah, it's a river bottom.
It doesn't run off anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, so.
Yeah.
I can imagine how that went. Wow.
Yeah, then we went to Weatherford, and they were 50-50 ground under repair. It was a wild.
Yeah.
But hey, we got it done,
Yeah.
But so okay, we skipped one thing that I wanted to ask you about, because I love to ask this question because I have a lot of guys that are going through this right now, like guys that listen to this podcast and guys I'm in their locker rooms. What was you coached your kids?
Yes.
What was it like, and what's some advice you could give everyone that's currently coaching their kids? I mean, for us as staff people. We're coach fans. We're FCA staff people. We're fans of the coaches. And we hear they're playing them because it's, you hear all that. But what's it like? What's some advice and what's a coach's perspective on that, coaching your kids?
It's funny that you asked me that because I've often thought and looked back on the times where I coached my son. Now I did coach my daughter a little bit in track, but as far as anything else, nothing.
Yeah.
That would be anything like how I've kind of coached with my son in basketball. Because I wish I would have looked for some more advice when I had coached my son, because so many times as coaches, when you're coaching your son, you expect more out of them, you demand more out of them, and you're not as tolerant with them.
Yeah.
I'm speaking about myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm speaking about my experience with Derek, and I've apologized to him several times, over the course of years, because I wish that I would have treated him differently.
Yeah.
And examples would be, he makes a mistake on the floor, I might be subbing him out. Whereas Brad makes a mistake on the floor, you keep playing.
Yeah.
The treating him differently was something that I never could get past because I didn't want people to think, like you said, that the only reason he's playing is because he's my son.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I wished I would have been a little bit more of an encourager to him.
Yeah.
I wish I would have given him a little more freedom, to shoot the basketball and to be a little freer on the basketball court.
Yeah.
If I were to do it over again, it's real simple. I'd treat him just like I treated everybody else.
Yeah.
And I didn't do that.
Well,
and it's still, it bothers me some because he was a really good basketball player. He had skills at a very young age.
Yeah.
He never developed into a great shooter simply because he played football, he played baseball. Senior year he ran track. So he was never in the gym enough, to be a proficient scorer. Yeah. Even though he scored 1,100 points in, whatever. I would definitely treat him to where I just like I treated everybody else. And I still think you kind of have to demand a little bit. Your son has to know that, look, here's the deal. You can't have bad days at practice. Mm-hmm. You can't slough off. You can't come late to practice. There's some things, because I'm your coach, you have to be aware of that, but you also have to make sure that there's some of those little bitty things, like how hard you practice, being on time, making sure that you're at the, wind sprints, you're leading the those are the things that you can control, that you have to be able to do. Yeah. But it's some of the greatest memories I have coaching him. Yeah. It really is.
What's your favorite memory of you and him when you were coaching him?
Golly, one of them
put you on the spot.
Yeah, one of them would be we're playing Heritage Hall, and I think it's our tournament.
Come on.
And I can't remember if he is a junior or a sophomore. And he gets fouled, and we're behind. He gets fouled shooting a three-pointer with just like a couple of seconds left in the game. He steps to the line, makes all three of them, and we win.
Let's go.
That was, and like I said, he wasn't a great free throw shooter. So him making 3 free throws in a row was probably just as much a surprise to him as it was to me. But hey, it was a great.
Sometimes you don't have to be great if you're clutch.
Oh, that's exactly right. Exactly. Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's just something I see a lot. So when I talk to guys that have coached their kids, I see it. All my guys that I'm in locker rooms with now, I see it a lot. And I know that's such a struggle.
It is.
It can be a hard spot. Because hey, you still got to go home and talk to that kid's mama too.
Absolutely. And I think really the most important thing that I probably should have said a while ago is never tie the success or failures of your kid in sports as to whether or not they feel that you love them. Yeah. They got to know that you love them more than anything, rather than, hey, my dad really loves me because I scored 20, or we won, or threw a game-winning touchdown pass, or whatever. Yeah. Your son, daughter, whatever, needs to know that, hey, my love for you does not depend upon your success in an athletic field. Yeah. And I want to make sure that you know and understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things, and I think this ties in pretty good, you said, they got to know you love them. I know you've been a big FCA guy.
Absolutely.
For a while, and I work FCA, and so we're so thankful for FCA coaches. Mm-hmm. But how do you think, in what way did your faith and your involvement in FCA, or mostly your faith though, how do you feel like that influenced your coaching styles through the years?
Yeah, I think just kind of like I never tried to define myself with how many wins or losses you had, how many tournament titles you won or state championships you won or whatever. Mm-hmm. I always wanted to make sure that people could see that my faith was important to me, and that I was never going to judge myself or have myself judged on whether or not you thought I was a good coach or not. Yeah. And I just believe that God put me in a place, and He put me in places to where I had great people to work with.
Yeah.
I had great people to work for. I had great kids. I was never fired from a job. I was never written up, ever in a job that I had. And I wanted kids to know that I cared about them. I loved them. And I'm going to treat them, with respect and dignity. And I hope that my faith would, reveal that, hey, whether or not we're 2-20 or 20-2, you were going to be able to know that I genuinely cared and loved, being around you and coaching, and coaching you.
Yeah. I meant to ask this earlier, so this is just kind of, we're going to go way back. But I usually ask, did you grow up in church, like coming up?
I did.
Grew up in church?
Oh, yeah.
I was making the rounds, made it to church all the time?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mom and dad were such great influences on my life. My dad's father was a pastor.
Okay.
And so Drew Beard is, his mother's father.
Yeah.
My dad and Drew's sister, or Drew's mother, are brother and sister.
Okay.
Yes. So our grandfather was he was a pastor. So yes, we grew up in the church. And when we moved to Marlow, I was very fortunate to have a couple of friends. One of my best friends, his dad was the pastor of the First Baptist Church here, and so it was always easy. My life growing up was so easy. I mean, I don't know if if it was just the times that we lived in, or if I was just oblivious to what was going on around us, or if I was just naive or what. But, my life was just easy. We went to church on Sundays and Wednesdays, and, we stayed out till dark every other day, and you had to be home before dark. And, you rode your bicycles all over town.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I told my son, we were talking about when video games started first coming out. I said, the first video game I ever had, those big electric football fields where you lined your men up, and then you flipped the switch, and the vibration moved them.
Yeah,
and he looked at me like, what?
What is? Yeah. I remember that.
I mean, and it's.
I had a buddy who had one, and I thought he is rich. Yeah. Woo.
I mean, life was just so simple back then, and when it was just, I had a great upbringing, and my parents, they sacrificed for all of us, and they were just great role models for us.
Well, that's great. I kind of thought I probably knew that answer, but I always like to ask that because sometimes that leads into a great.
Yeah.
Like, well, no, but then, and then sometimes it's like, yeah, absolutely. Every time the door was open, and both ways are phenomenal. Mm-hmm. As long as we get to Christ, both ways are just phenomenal. But I always like to hear that.
Absolutely.
It's always a question I ask, and I forgot. I got caught up in all the stars we coached together. We're doing this together now.
Absolutely.
So, okay, last question. I always love to ask this question because I think that just knowing a couple of the guys that and knowing, with Drew and your connection with all those guys, I think I know the answer. I think I know, but how would you, when it's all said and done, how would you want to be remembered as a coach? I say I think I know because I think I know how. Because I've talked to Curtis about you, and I know how he remembers you.
Right.
So I think I know how you are remembered, but I want to know how you'd like to be remembered as a coach.
I hope that I would be remembered as a coach who was really invested in the lives of the guys and girls he coached. Mm-hmm. That he was a man of faith, and that his faith was going to be revealed in how he coached and how he treated his players and how he, went about. Now, I'm not saying that I did everything perfect, I mean, there's a lot of times that I made some terrible decisions as coaches that we all make, at times.
Yeah.
But I would hope that they would know that in everything that I ever did, that it was with their best interest in heart, that I loved them, and that I was going to be somebody that for their entire life, if they ever had an issue or a problem of any kind, all they had to do was reach out to me.
Yeah.
And I would be able to do whatever I could to help them.
Yeah.
And, to me as a coach, there's a lot of kids that don't get that kind of coaching at home. Mm-hmm. They don't get that kind of love at home. They don't get that kind of respect at home. They don't get that kind of, feeling at home that, what, my coach really loves me.
Yeah.
And so I would hope that would be what they would feel, and I think that's the calling of a coach.
Yeah.
I mean, you are a coach, you are a teacher, but more importantly, you're a mentor. You're somebody there that hey, I'm gonna be in your corner for forever, dude.
Yeah.
And but that's the cool part about coaching, man.
Yeah.
That's the coolest part there is. I love it nowadays when I have guys like Jeremy Gibson, Harlan Burgess. I mean, those guys just call me up, and I mean, that is so cool,
yeah.
Man. And that's one of the great rewards you have. Is the influence that you have on a young person's life, man. You can you can change the directory of a person's life.
Absolutely.
By how you invest in them.
Yeah.
And to me, that's there's not a greater calling.
Absolutely. I think the same. So I lied to you. We got some minutes left. I'm going overtime here.
Let's do it.
Golf guy.
I've had a few overtime games in my life.
All right, here's a quick.
Some I can remember and some I don't like to.
All right, here's a quick overtime question. Favorite 3 golf courses you've played?
Yeah.
And then dream foursome.
Wow. Okay. Best 3 courses I've played.
And they don't have to be the best. They just got to be your favorite. Because Greg Gothard said Wild Horse in Valma was one of his favorites because he played with his dad and
Absolutely.
he played with Cord all the time.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be the best.
Gotcha.
Because I'm going to say Gothard might have played it 2 or 3 better than Wild Horse.
Yeah. Let's see here. I'm going to say Oklahoma City Golf and Country Club, Oak Tree. I'll go ahead and say, for that reason you said of Greg, I'm going to say Kingfisher Golf Course because I made my second hole-in-one there with my son on Easter weekend one time.
What hole was it on that
That
course?
would have been hole 16, par 3, going back toward the little short par 3.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Come on.
Yeah. Pin was right there kind of in the front middle of the green, right there, when not 4 or 5 yards on the green. Hit me a wedge right in the hole. And my son had to sit there and watch it. Loved it. Yeah, I loved it.
So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Because that's 2 really good courses.
Yeah.
I played Oak Tree. Haven't got to play Oklahoma City yet.
Yeah, it's a fantastic golf course. It's one of them old school golf courses, yeah.
Is that the one that's kind of in Nichols Hills?
Yes.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's it right there on 63rd Street.
Oh, yeah. Heck yeah.
Yeah, it's really, really a good golf course.
So that's your 3. Your dream foursome.
Dream foursome. Mm-hmm. Holy cow.
Alive, not, I want
well,
to be
then
with
I'd
Jesus, whoever.
I'd have to say my dad, my son obviously would be in there. I mean, if my daughter played golf, I would
make her play too.
I would make her play, but she doesn't like to play, so I'm not going to pick her. Or my wife. My wife don't like to play either, right? So I'm not going to pick her.
You got to put those tags on there.
Well, absolutely. You got to say that.
If you could.
If you played golf, you'd be in my foursome.
Go with us.
You'd be in my foursome. You would definitely be in my foursome. Let's see here. I'm trying to. I'd probably go with one of my idols as a golfer growing up. I'd probably have to put the Golden Bear, Jack Nicklaus, in there.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Where would y'all go play?
Where would we play?
Yeah.
I'd have to play Augusta National.
You'd have to.
Yeah. Augusta National.
Let's go.
Yeah. Can we make that happen? I wish we could make that happen.
I don't know exactly what heaven's going to be like,
Yeah.
but that sounds like it's going to be pretty close.
Yeah,
right
absolutely. Yeah, Augusta National.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you so much for coming on Called to Coaching. I really appreciate it. And,
Had a great time, Brad.
yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
We might have to do a part 2.
Let's do it, man. We can do it.
I think everybody that's came on, I've got done, and I'm like, I look at my notes, I go, I got about 20 more questions for you. So
We can do it anytime.
next time we're going to talk a little bit more about Drew Beard.
We can do that too. I can talk about Drew Beard as long as you want to.
I don't want all the good stories that everybody's got.
That's all I know is good stories.
That's what everybody says.
That's all I know.
Golly, this guy.
That's
I'm
all
going to
I
find
know.
somebody one day that's going to go, I was there when Drew did this. And I go, yes. All right, Coach, I appreciate you.
You bet, Brad.
What I tell y'all, what a great interview. What a cool guy. I mean, he's just cool without even trying. I'm not sure he even knows how cool he is. So thank you so much to Coach Patterson and his wife for opening up their home. I was over in Marlow at a preseason wrestling tournament and asked if I could just come by and do this interview. And, of course, they just opened up their doors and let us come in and set up all our stuff and do that interview. It was so much fun. So thank you guys. We did this one the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. I know you're seeing it a couple weeks later or whatever, but we had the audio out, but we've been pretty busy. So it takes a little time to do video editing, especially when you're a slow 43-year-old man like myself. So, hey, thank you guys so much for being here. Thanks again to MW Outdoor Power and Engine Repair and Bromine Mountain for supporting us. I'm just amazed anytime somebody comes up and wants to support our podcast, or my great friend Gary comes up and just supports us. So I just really appreciate it. I really am so thankful for all you guys. I work in the ministry of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. We're 100% support raised. I don't know if I can say that 3 times fast, but I'm not going to try. And I'm going to leave my donation link in the show notes. If you would like to support our ministry, and our mission is to lead every coach and every athlete into a growing relationship with Jesus Christ and his church. Side note, find yourself a good church family, you need community. And that is our mission, to lead those kids, those athletes, those coaches to a growing relationship with Jesus Christ in his church. And if you would like to be a part of that, man, click on that link and join my team. I would love it. And I thank you so much. Until next time, remember, God loves you. We love you. Now go make a difference. Y'all have a good one.